sorry, just finishing that one up. PQ equals 4 and 4 seconds. Okay, and that's the finale for that. All right, take a minute, make sure that you've got that down. And then I'm going to start a fresh page, and we're going to do it with algebraic expressions. Okay, so the same idea, but with algebra. Okay, scratch that algebraic expression thing. I really want to talk about the coordinate plane. So a reminder, the coordinate plane is that XY field, X and Y. That's basically just two interlapping number lines. So to find the midpoint on a coordinate plane, you know that the midpoint is in the middle of the two endpoints, right? So this first term for this midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So in order to find half of something, you add them together and then divide by 2, or to find the average, the middle point. So this tells you the middle point, middle of the x's. Okay, the second one, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Again, it tells you the middle, but this time of the y's, middle of the y's. And because of how a straight line works, this point will always exist on the line that you've originally drawn. So let's do a few examples. Okay, so R is an endpoint. It equals 1, negative 3. S is another endpoint. It equals 4, 2. And M is the midpoint. Midpoint. And we want to find the midpoint. Okay. So if I were to draw this, I'm going to pause it and draw it in the left. Okay, so this point R is 1, negative 3, and S is 4, 2. So then to find the midpoint, I'm going to use this midpoint formula. I want to find the middle of the x's. So this is x1 and this is x2, which means this one is y1 and this one is y2. Okay, notice that the subscript, the 1's and the 2's, stay together in the same coordinate point. Okay. So I'm going to start with my formula. I do x1 plus x2, so 1 plus 4 divided by 2, and then parentheses and comma. So y1, negative 3, plus y2 divided by 2. Okay, so then I'm going to solve this. I'm going to do one step at a time. 1 plus 4 is 5. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Okay. So this is my coordinate, 5 halves, comma, negative 1 half. 5 halves is the same as 2 and a half. So 1, 2 and a half. 1, 2 and a half. Negative 1 half. So down 1 half. And it sits right here on that line. M equals M. Cool. All right, let's do another one. Okay, this one's a little different because this time I got one endpoint and the midpoint. Midpoint. Okay, so I've got to use my formula backwards a little bit to try and figure out where the endpoint is. So I'm going to pause again and I'm going to draw the diagram in the left-hand side. Okay, so I've drawn it. J is at 1, 4. M is at 2, 1. So I want to figure out, if I know the midpoint, how do I find that missing coordinate? So this time I'm going to set up a really interesting equation. I'm going to use the x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And I'm going to try and solve. So if J is my first coordinate, I'm going to call that x1 and x2. So then I've got 1 plus an unknown x2 divided by 2, comma, oh, sorry, this should be a y1. I apologize. That's on me. y1. 4 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay? And this has to equal the coordinate 2, 1. So basically what I have here is I have two separate coordinates. I've got this coordinate and this one. Those are my x coordinates. And I've got this coordinate and this one. These are my y coordinates. So I can set them equal to each other. So to get 1 plus x2 divided by 2 equals 2. So then I multiply by 2. I get 4 equals 1 plus x2, which means x2 equals 3. Okay, then I do the other side. 4 plus y2 divided by 2 equals 1 times 2 times 2. I get 2 equals 4 plus y2, which means y2 is negative 2.